Welcome to Vigilant News, everybody. This is Justin from Stones in the Storm, and I'm joined by my co-host Ryan Delarm from Underground News Wire. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going good. Always a pleasure to be here.
We've got another update for you on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Some definite updates that might cause us to question the validity of this trial. We also have some interesting photos for you today. So before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for your support. If you haven't already done so, check the links in the description, either for the donate page, stillnessinthestorm.com/donate, or the subscribe star link. And you can also support us by purchasing products from one of our sponsors or purchasing something from the store, stillnessinthestore.com. And with that, let's go ahead and get into today's update for day 7 of the trial, I believe. Yes?
That's correct. So yeah, it is day 7 in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, everyone's favorite child trafficker. We left off yesterday with FBI analyst Kimberly Metter testifying about an image that was found on a CD acquired during the FBI's raid on Epstein's Upper East Side townhouse. And since we are just getting word of mouth and courtroom reporting, there's no hard video or anything of this specific image. We don't know if it was an image with Epstein and Maxwell both engaged in sex acts or not. It's just kind of vague how they mentioned it in the record. So an interesting little bit of drama that happened today. The first accuser, Jane, the actress, the soap opera actress, who testified last week, apparently referred to Maxwell's defense attorney as an explicit term when speaking with another witness, a witness that hadn't yet taken the stand. So this issue was raised this morning before the jury ever even came in. And eventually, by the end of the day today, they decided not to even call this other witness to the stand because of it. I don't know like what legal sense that makes. That's a little beyond me, right. But it's just, something interesting that happened today. So aside from that, jurors were shown a number of photos of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's together, including 2 shots of Maxwell spilling out of a skimpy top while rubbing Epstein's feet aboard a plane, is the quote. Photos were identified by FBI analyst Kimberly Metter, who said that she'd reviewed them after the CDs were brought in after the 2019 raid. Other photos shown included one of Epstein holding Maxwell from behind while speaking on a phone in a grassy field. Documents from the hard drive that was acquired at the New York mansion after the raid describe a rosy relationship between Epstein and Maxwell. The document was created by a user titled GMax, which implies Ghislaine Maxwell. Here's a quote from this document that they found. Jeffrey and Ghislaine have been together as a couple for the last 11 years. They are, contrary to what many people think, rarely apart. I almost always see them together. The document, which was created on October 14, 2002, began. Ghislaine is highly intelligent and great company with a ready smile and infectious laugh, it continued. Which, if Ghislaine Maxwell was the creator of this document, it's kind of strange, right? That she's like talking herself up, talking in third person. So it's kind of still out whether it was her who actually wrote the document or one of the many females that were always spotted at the house. It is not clear why the document was created or what purpose it served. The next alleged victim, Caroline, took the stand. A woman going by her first name, so this isn't a pseudonym, is testifying about some of the over 100 sexualized massages that she gave Jeffrey Epstein between the ages of 14 and 18. Something sexual happened every single time, said Caroline, one of the victims in the indictment against Maxwell. Wearing a magenta and white striped blouse, her straight brown hair parted in the middle, the alleged victim choked up several times as she described the abuse. A lot of them run together, she said of the encounters. The court broke for lunch at around 1:30. And when they came back, we had Special Agent Kelly McGuire testifying, or no, she testified Monday about her forced entry into the New York Upper West Side townhouse or mansion. After no one answered the door and then swept through all 40 rooms where creepy taxidermied animals and bizarre paintings of Bill Clinton in a blue dress were on display. In an office near the front of the 19,000 square foot home, authorities uncovered several plastic bins that contained hard drives already covered in evidence tape, McGuire told the court. As you sit here today, do you have personal knowledge of why there was evidence tape on these boxes? Assistant U.S. Attorney Allison Mao asked, to which McGuire replied, no. On the third floor, inside what looked like a dressing room, the agents found a safe stashed inside a closet, which they opened using a saw, McGuire told the jury. We're going to have images of all this at the end for you guys to take a look at. The safe contained jewelry, external hard drives, passports, lots of U.S. cash, and loose diamonds, the agent testified. There were also binders filled with CDs, but authorities had to get another warrant in order to seize them. When they returned the next day, however, all of the items inside the safe had disappeared. McGuire said she called Richard Kahn, now co-executor of Epstein's estate, and one of the sex offender's attorneys, Andrew Tomback, and told them she had a warrant for the items. Roughly 30 minutes later, Kahn brought them all back in 2 suitcases, the agent testified, which there's no way of knowing if that was actually all of the items. Court papers filed in Epstein's child sex trafficking case said that some of the CDs contained kiddie porn with handwritten labels, including the following: young name plus name, miss nudes of so-and-so, girl pics nude, things like this. Also on the third floor, agents came across a massage room with heavy pink curtains and a massage table covered in a blanket and a white sheet. More CDs were found inside this room and in another room on the 5th floor. In the bottom of a drawer of a dresser. In the same room, agents discovered a cache of labeled black binders filled with pages and pages of thumbnail photographs that corresponded to CDs, insinuating that this isn't just like a hobby. You know what I mean? It's a fully fledged operation that they had going. FBI analyst Kimberly Metter, who went through all the photos, testified Tuesday that some of the photos were of Epstein and Maxwell together, including one of her in a skimpy top rubbing his feet aboard a plane. One framed photo of the twosome smooching was found by Palm Beach police inside Epstein's sprawling home during a 2005 raid, according to photos in the operation submitted as evidence. Let's see. The beachfront lair also included an odd statue on a bookshelf of someone resembling Epstein giving another person a massage. Several women have alleged that Epstein, and at times Maxwell, would sexually abuse them during these so-called massage sessions at the horror house. Developer Todd Michael Glasser bought Epstein's sprawling property for $18.5 million in March and then had the home demolished.
Really interesting.
And then the neoclassical townhouse in Manhattan on the Upper West Side sold for $51 million to former Goldman Sachs executive Michael D. Daffey, who has said he is undertaking a physical and spiritual rehabilitation of the mansion.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first batch of information. The last thing of the day, it ended dramatically, apparently, with this victim, Caroline, the gal who said that she's had over 100 sexual interactions with Epstein, sobbing on the stand. The breakdown followed a grueling cross-examination by Maxwell's defense attorney, Jeffrey Pagliuca, who quizzed her for hours about apparent inconsistencies in her stories, basically trying to get her to sabotage herself. Prosecutors then came back at Caroline to clarify questions about her age and the year when she met Maxwell and Epstein, at which point she began to bawl. When asked if she had any financial interest in testifying, Caroline said strongly, no, money will never fix what that woman has done to me. And that was it for the day. That was a wrap after that.
Wow. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in that latest update, we saw that said something about the trial ending sooner than the 6 weeks that they had expected.
Yes, at the end, after after wrapping up, the prosecution said that they will be, their case will be completely like given by this sometime this week. So
I see. Okay.
instead of 3 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks, which was originally forecast, it seems like it's going to be 2. So,
right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it definitely sounds like they're doing everything they can to limit the ability for the prosecution to make their case. One thing I thought was interesting, and I have to do some back research on this to know if what I'm thinking here is correct, but if the witness was contemptuous in court, then, you know, calling the, I think the prosecutor a C word, then the judge could have charged him with contempt. And part of the reason that that might be an issue is because it invalidates or calls into question the authenticity and sincerity of the witness. You know, a lot of, despite what we might think in the modern world, the way the legal system works, it's the still to this day testimony. So one person saying, this is what I saw, this is what I think is happening, is still the best type of evidence. It's still the evidence that means the most in a trial. So if a witness has put them in, if a witness did something that called their sincerity into question, then that questions the testimony, and that's enough potentially to have the witness either thrown out, like the judge could have said, you know what, this witness might be bringing forth evidence that is tainted or corrupted, so we're going to throw it out. Or even the defense might say that, hey, there's reasonable doubt here. So even if the witness does testify, he's going to probably, in closing argument, say, hey, there's reasonable doubt, you know, don't take this evidence seriously. So that might be what's happening here. So why don't we go ahead and look at some of the photos. And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here. And this is coming from Underground Newswire. So if y'all are curious, this is what Underground Newswire looks like. Check it out. And I'm just going to start scrolling through, and we'll stop at a photo and talk a little bit. So here we have the photo, I'm assuming, let's see, let me read the caption. A photo of Jeffrey Epstein kissing his alleged Madam Ghislaine Maxwell was displayed prominently in his Florida mansion, according to a new trove of evidence that also provides an inside look at his creepy Manhattan house.
Yeah, so this was on a mantle in Manhattan, and it was used as evidence to prove that Ghislaine wasn't just some victim in this whole thing, that she was with Epstein and may very well have been the leading factor in a lot of this stuff.
Right. So that's interesting. I'd say that definitely, you know, lends credence to what they're talking about. This is just a video montage of that. So if y'all want to watch that, you can just click on that yourselves. We'll go ahead and move on to the next. This looks like the box of tapes that was already marked evidence. I can't tell if these are VHS cassettes or what, but they might be camcorder. Kind of looks like camcorder.
Yeah, I think so.
PATA 100. I don't know. Let me just take a look real quick. PATA.
It seems like
they're hard drives.
Oh, whole hard drives.
Yeah, if the PATA 100 is any indication. So so there who knows how much data is on one of these things. Yeah, look at that. This looks exactly like what we just saw here.
And the allegations that have been floating around since well before this trial is that they were running some kind of honeypot from Assad, the CIA, and who knows who else, you know.
Precisely, yeah. So it's entirely possible that Epstein was keeping his own blackmail, you know, CYA file, basically. So cover his ass. Like if I was Epstein and I was working for Mossad and all these big name people, I'd be gathering as much blackmail as possible, because we're dealing with a criminal syndicate here. It's not like you can, you know, there's no honor among thieves necessarily, at least to a certain extent. Like they might let you sit in a position as the kingpin of child porn in Epstein's case for a little while, and then eventually they might decide to pull the carpet out from under you and make you a scapegoat so that they can deflect blame for themselves, which I think is part of what's happening in this trial in the first place. So what type of evidence are we looking at here? Is this Epstein's own personal files just for his own pleasure? Is this his own personal blackmail? Was this on routes to, you know, Mossad or God knows where with respect to some other intelligence agency? We don't know yet. So moving on, we have another photo.
This is the upstairs where they pulled the safe from the closet.
Ah, okay, yeah. We have a drawer with looks like a whole bunch of evidence CDs. I mean, you know, the other thing I was thinking as you're going through this is that it's essentially a child pornography studio. I mean, this is a massive operation. This isn't just a guy who, you know, as awful as this is, but kidnaps girls from Walmart and takes, you know, nasty pictures of them and then lets them go, or worse. So we're not dealing with a one-man band here, I would argue anyway, although that's probably what the media is going to try to portray this as. But look at what we're dealing with here. This is an industrial grade operation, you know, so, and if I understand Epstein to be part of the cabal kind of billionaire club, the way these guys work is they leverage every possible money-making asset that you can imagine. So when one of these, you know, society manipulating events like 9/11 happens, or Katrina, or the Oklahoma City bombing, or any number of these manufactured events, which, by the way, YouTube people who are looking, there is over 42 government admitted fake flags that are out there. So it's not like we're dealing with conspiracy theory here. So my point is that when they do these operations, they leverage everything they can. They're like, well, we're going to get blackmailing people. That'll cover us. We're going to do child trafficking. We're going to make some money on that. We're going to take what we make and we're going to sell it on the black, you know, the black market with respect to child pornography, and they're going to make money on that. And no doubt Epstein was doing the same thing. He's like, listen, I want to be a billionaire. I'm going to find every possible way I can to leverage the assets I have to make as much money as humanly possible. So that could be what we're seeing here. Let's see, we've got the binders. I think these are where the thumbnails were, corresponded to CDs, right?
That's correct.
Now, I used to, just to put this in context, you know, we don't necessarily encounter this much in the modern age where we have digital everything. But back in the day, in the 90s, you know, if you had a VHS library, like I had a really good friend down the road from me back where I grew up in Massachusetts, they had a closet just filled with VHS that they had recorded. So his thing was he'd get like a movie from Blockbuster, he'd record a copy of it, and then he'd put it in his library. Well, there were so many VHS that he had to find a way to, you know, organize that. So if you wanted to find a movie, you weren't sitting there for 2 hours just looking for it. So what he did is he took a binder and he wrote out all the titles in a certain order so that you could look at the binder, and he had a, you know, kind of like a Dewey Decimal System to know where the information was. This, I think, it also lends credence to the theory that we're dealing with an industrial scale operation here. If you're going to have blackmailing people, potentially thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people, how are you going to organize that? You know, if you got blackmail information on somebody back in 1992 and it's 2006 right now, like, you know, where is that information? What's the nature of it, et cetera, et cetera? You might need to have access to it readily available to do whatever you need to do with respect to blackmail. This, what we're looking at here, could be the old school system for that, you know, before we had digitized archiving and things of this sort. More CDs.
Also, it might be better to keep it all in physical copies than have it in the internet where it's, you know, open from all angles.
Great point. Yeah, exactly. No doubt that, actually, that's a really good point. So if he went old school, if Epstein in this blackmail operation was like, you know what, none of this is going to ever touch a digital hard drive, maybe, I don't know, then that would be an interesting fact, because even Epstein doesn't want to have the machines tied to the internet. Wink, wink, if you know what I'm talking about with respect to what happened last November. Okay, so then there was one I wanted to talk about. This is his Palm Beach office. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, we don't get to know exactly what these books are, but man, I would love to see. I know.
I tried to zoom in and look for anything I could, just to kind of, you know, get a little idea of the guy, and I couldn't. It's too grainy of a photo to really see, unfortunately.
Hopefully, there's a high res version out there, because yeah.
And if you look, there's a bunch of spots of this photograph that are redacted too.
So. Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, look at that. Like this one right here. This is redacted.
Mm-hmm. Right there.
This is redacted. Yeah, great point. Yeah, and as you can see, we can zoom in, but you know, you're not really going to be able to make out anything. Maybe if you knew what the binding looked like for the book, you could make the connection. So if anybody sees anything they recognize, let us know, because I'm really curious what he's got in here. Okay, and
so this next one is what was supposedly Ghislaine Maxwell's desk.
This was Maxwell's desk. Okay, interesting. Oh yeah, well, here's her. Looks like stationery with her name on it. I don't know what this is, but this might be a photo of her father, potentially, or grandfather. That guy,
Robert
I think I might
Maxwell.
have actually seen a photo like that of Robert Maxwell. I'm not sure what this is. When I first saw the question mark thing on the back of this airplane,
Some kind of sigil, it looks like, right?
yeah, like a sigil, or my initial impression was like, oh, that looks like some type of Arabic script. But now that I'm looking at it, it actually just looks like a weird J with an E. Oh,
It's a name sigil,
it's a name sigil. You're right. It's J.E. Jeffrey Epstein. Got it. Okay.
which I've seen other variations of this that he's worn on his
On this
lapel.
lapel or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. You know, compared to Epstein's desk, this is a pretty quaint little setup she's got here. You know, like
Seems kind of crowded. Like you're not going to get a lot
Exactly.
done on that desk.
no, I mean, yeah, certainly not in the modern age where everybody's got a laptop and
And look at this antique phone.
I know it seriously, you could like kill a man with that thing. So then we got this next photo here. It looks like from Epstein's office. Maybe we can see.
That's right. It's just a little too grainy.
Yeah, it is still just a little too gray. Again, if people could recognize the bindings, then that'd be one thing, but we can't see what that is. But this looks like a photo of him sitting on his plane, perhaps. Okay. And then last, okay, so this is the one I wanted to mention. So I don't know where this is, but this is an interesting door we see here. See this? This is like a door with almost like a porthole in it. It looks like a microwave right there. But the thing that I found interesting was this puppy right here. This thing. Anybody recognize that striping pattern? Let's see if I can pull up Epstein. Bingo, right here. What does this look like, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if my computer decides to work anyway. Play it, cue the Jeopardy music. Okay, well, that'll be good enough. So I don't know what this means, but we'll have to do a search on it potentially.
I know it's the same like decoration scheme they had on the set of the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Yes, I was just about to mention that.
But I mean, maybe it's just like he loves blue and white stripes, you know?
Right, exactly.
Maybe it's his how he likes his decor.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, who knows?
Find a set.
I'm gonna see if I can find the set. Yeah, here we go. Is this it right here?
See the stripes and the palm trees and such. I've seen people drawing this comparison before.
Right.
She is supposedly, you know.
I mean, Ellen DeGeneres, degenerate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she was also wearing that fragile drip sweater, apparently. Well, that's the claim anyway.
Right. That was
so, you know, put that in your pipe and smoke it for whatever it's worth. So, yeah, I'm assuming, now keep in mind, in my research, the cabal loves symbolism for many different reasons. They have a type of religion, and they believe that they can influence people and reality by encoding symbols, pictures, logos, music, all sorts of stuff with infused intention. As a matter of fact, I think, I forget the guy's name, but one researcher, like one of these Hollywood music industry insiders, claimed that every piece of pop music that has ever been produced in the modern age has had some occult dark ritual associated with it, where people were effectively being tortured so that that music could be imbued with negative energy, so anybody who listened to it, you know, could be influenced. Now, one thing I'll say about this is, as scary as that sounds, God created the universe so that nobody could interfere with your relationship with reality itself, in the sense that they could force you to do things beyond your control. That can't happen at all. All they can do is manipulate your reality and influence you in a sense that they suggest things, and then you know, unwittingly, mistakenly follow the suggestion. So just want to make that clear. So yeah, this is an interesting photo. I don't know what that is. I'm actually kind of curious. What is this photo of? Is this the photo of his island?
It looks like, yeah, photo design.
You know, that looks really interesting.
Which would make sense why you try to keep the same like decor to go with the theme, etc.
Exactly. So perhaps if anybody knows, there might be somebody's attempted decode of what that striped black or white, blue and white stripe means. I don't know, but it does remind me of the colors used in the pedophile symbols that the FBI put out. Maybe there's a connection. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing out theories here. This is kind of live, real-time analysis that we're doing. So that basically ends the photos. Is there anyone you wanted to comment on specifically, or?
No, that's about it for today. I'm kind of just disappointed that this whole thing's about to end. But even from the indictment, like this wasn't like I see people out there posting this needs to be televised and we need to, none of that stuff was mentioned in the indictment. So even us thinking that like this is going to go anywhere is like really setting yourself up for disappointment. There were 4 accusers, just 4 girls accusing Maxwell of, grooming them to be, diddled by Epstein. It's not like, Bill Clinton's going to be arrested or anything like that.
Right.
But it's still something we need to know, because through this, we're seeing that Clinton was close to this guy. Many people were close to this guy, and we got a glimpse into his creepy little world. So
this is true.
Who knows where it'll go from here? But yeah, I think we need to keep our expectations in the realm of like reality.
Right. Yeah. I don't envision massive big names being dropped, massive, round up the bad guys arrests happening in the next few months.
No.
I think at best what we're probably going to expect from this is another sham trial. Probably she gets acquitted and everybody's really disappointed that somebody who was as nasty as Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly just got off scot-free basically. But did she? Because mind you, the situation we're in right now is not about arresting bad guys and hopefully we can do better next time. No, that is not what we're dealing with here, I would argue. I would argue the problems that have plagued our world, as I mentioned quite frequently in our streams, is that we, the people, don't know how to maintain law and order in our society. We've allowed Kabbalists, pedophiles, scumbags, evil people to come in and take over these extremely essential and sacred law enforcement and justice positions. So if the trial goes nowhere, what that's going to do is it's going to kind of sour the punch bowl with respect to people's faith in society, as it should. What has happened over the past, 2 years with COVID? The exact same thing. Our trust, the blind trust in our institutions, in our governments, and our politicians, and everything is eroding, as it should, because it was never meant to be blind in the first place. True freedom requires eternal vigilance, and I think at the very least we're going to see that snowball keep building and gaining momentum.
Also, it may just be 4 gals who have come forward for this one indictment, but as the pictures show, there were binders and binders and CDs full of who knows how many victims. So just because there's only 4 on this indictment, maybe another indictment comes along, and maybe another one, and maybe some start to mention other people's names beyond Maxwell. Precisely. It's just this trial specifically is, we've seen pretty much, I think, most of what we're going to see. The prosecution, whatever they had up their sleeve, it's all out now. So
right, exactly. I mean, we're dealing with a color of law system. We don't have a rule of law system. We don't have the rule of law. We have a color of law. What that means is it looks like law, it tastes like law, it might even smell like law, but it ain't law. It's like that fake meat, that you get in the vegan shop sometimes. It looks real good, but it ain't real meat. So, the benefits to a sham trial, what if this trial was never really meant to take down Epstein or anybody, but it's going to expose the fraud of the justice system in a way that will shake everybody to our foundations. And then somebody like Trump or, the military option, cue devolution, will come in and finally give us an opportunity to have real justice. So lots of things to consider. Obviously, we don't have all the answers. We're along the ride. We're along for this ride, just like you are. But, we have an opportunity to try to showcase different forms of evidence and information, because ultimately this is an information war. We're all in this together. So, okay, well, that's about it. So we'll have an update for you again tomorrow.
And I was going to say, if you guys like these daily updates, let us know, because we're considering doing a daily update on all kinds of things from going on into the future from here. So let us know what you think. And also tune in Thursday we're going to have a pretty special guest on with protocols for helping with the spike proteins and some products that we're offering. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Ryan. And so that stream will be starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. It's going to be our big stream. So get ready. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff in that. I will also be appearing on the Friday Night Live on Rise TV for, I'm pretty sure, the whole show on Friday. So if you have a subscription, check it out. We'll be talking a lot of cool stuff on there. And in closing, I just want to let everybody know our gratitude for all the support. We've been seeing a little more support trickle in, and I can't thank you enough. You know, as I like to mention, it costs a lot of money and time to put these things together. And if it wasn't for your support, we couldn't do it. And lastly, I've also been helping some business owners get their funding. Some of these programs I've been talking about are coming to an end this month. So if you own a business, if you file taxes, if you have employees, send me an email at justin@remelo.business. That's justin@remelo.business. And we'll see if we can get you some funding, because I really want to help Patriots and, you know, take out these globalists.
And if you just want to send me money for no reason, to get a hold of me and I'll give you all my information.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, come on. Mama needs a new suit, you know.
Hey, look at it.
All right. So thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. Until next time, have a great rest of your night. Take care.